Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're taking a deep dive into something pretty powerful and poetic. I think you'll agree.
Yeah.
So we're looking at Surah An-Naba, which is a chapter from the Quran.
Okay.
And it's all about some really, really big ideas, like creation and accountability and, kind of what happens at the end of everything for humanity.
Right, yeah. Those big questions.
Exactly. And I think what's so fascinating about this surah is how it's told. It's not just a straightforward kind of, lesson or anything. It's got this really vivid, almost cinematic feel to it.
I see.
And that's what we're going to explore today.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's dive in.
All right, so Surah An-Naba. It doesn't waste any time getting to the point, does it?
No, it really doesn't.
Right from the first verse, we're thrown into this scene where people are like in this heated debate.
Yeah, like arguing about something.
Exactly. And it's all about this great event, this momentous thing that's going to happen. And it's like the surah just drops us right in the middle of it. And we're left wondering, like, what is this huge event that everyone's so worked up about?
It definitely grabs your attention right away.
It does. And I think it's really clever because it makes you want to keep reading to find out what this great event actually is.
Right. And I think it also kind of sets the tone for the whole surah. There's this sense of anticipation and maybe even a little bit of mystery.
Absolutely. And of course, as we read on, we learn that this great event is the Day of Judgment, which is like, one of the most fundamental concepts in Islam.
Right. A core belief.
Exactly. And it's interesting because the surah doesn't just present this as like a simple fact. It actually hints at the fact that there were different opinions, even back then, about what this Day of Judgment would be like.
Yeah, there's that mention of the disbelievers who are questioning and doubting it.
Exactly. And I think that's a really important point because it shows that even at the time of the Quran's revelation, there was this acknowledgement that people had different perspectives on these big questions.
Yeah, it wasn't just like a blind acceptance. It was like, hey, there are people who are skeptical about this.
Exactly. And some scholars even interpret this as a way of emphasizing the significance of the Day of Judgment. It's like by highlighting the fact that some people doubted it, it's almost like the surah is saying, look, this is something you really need to pay attention to. This is serious.
It's a powerful way to start.
It is. And then the surah takes this really interesting turn. We go from this intense debate about the Day of Judgment to these just stunningly beautiful descriptions of the natural world.
Yeah, it's like a complete shift in tone.
It is. Suddenly we're reading about the earth being spread out like a carpet and the mountains being like pegs holding it all together.
And the creation of humans in pairs.
Yes. And it's all written in this incredibly poetic language.
Yeah.
It's like the surah is inviting us to really appreciate the beauty and wonder of creation.
And I think it's also interesting how these descriptions are often used to point towards the power and wisdom of God.
Absolutely. It's like these natural phenomena become signs of a divine creator.
Exactly. Like when it talks about sleep being a rest and the night being a cover, it's not just describing these things literally. It's like it's giving them a deeper spiritual meaning.
Yeah, that's such a great example. Sleep becomes this gift from God, a way of providing us with rest and rejuvenation.
And the night becomes this protective covering, a time of safety and peace.
I love that. It's like the surah is encouraging us to look at the world around us with new eyes, to see the divine hand in everything, even in the everyday things we might take for granted.
Right, and to appreciate those things.
Absolutely. But then just when we're starting to feel all peaceful and contemplative, the surah shifts gears again, and this time we're thrust right into the heart of the day of reckoning.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, things get pretty intense. The sky splits open, the mountains crumble into dust, and trumpet blasts announcing the arrival of this momentous day.
It's like all of creation is being shaken to its core.
Exactly. And the language used to describe it is so vivid and powerful. It really paints this picture of upheaval and transformation.
It's not subtle.
It's not. And I think that's intentional.
Yeah.
The surah wants to make sure that we understand the sheer magnitude of this event.
Right. It's like it's trying to shake us out of our complacency and make us realize that this is something we need to prepare for.
Absolutely. And this leads us to one of the most impactful sections of the surah, which is the description of the contrasting fates that await the righteous and the oppressors.
Okay, so judgment has happened. Now, what?
Right. So we get these incredibly detailed descriptions of paradise and hell.
Heaven and hell.
Yeah. And the contrast between them is so stark. Paradise is depicted as this lush garden with flowing rivers, delicious fruits, and, beautiful companions.
Yeah, it's painted as this idyllic place of peace and abundance.
It is. And then on the other hand, we have hell, which is described as this terrifying place of fire and torment.
Yeah, with boiling water and chains and all sorts of horrific things.
It's really scary stuff. And I think the Surah uses this imagery to really drive home the point that our actions have consequences. The choices we make in this life will determine our fate in the next.
Right, it's like a clear warning that we need to choose the path of righteousness.
Absolutely. And it's not just about physical rewards and punishments either. Paradise is also described as a place of spiritual fulfillment where people are reunited with their loved ones and they're in the presence of God.
Right, so it's not just about material comforts, it's about something much deeper.
Exactly. And hell is depicted as a place of isolation and despair where people are cut off from God's mercy.
So it's like the ultimate spiritual punishment.
It is. And then we come to the surah's conclusion, which I think is one of the most powerful parts.
How so?
Well, we have this scene of the Spirit, which is often interpreted as the angel Gabriel and the angels standing in rank before God. And it's this incredibly solemn moment, It really highlights the seriousness of this day of reality, as it's called.
Yeah, there's this sense of awe and reverence.
Absolutely. And then the surah ends with this really profound message. It says that on that day, humanity will be given the choice to return to their Lord. So even though the Day of Judgment is this incredibly momentous event and God's power is absolute, the surah is emphasizing that we still have free will. We still have the ability to choose our path.
It's like a final reminder that our destiny is ultimately in our own hands.
Exactly. And this message is underscored by the surah's repeated warnings about the punishment that awaits those who reject God and the regret that they will feel on that day.
So it's like a call to action. It's saying, don't wait until it's too late. Make the right choice now.
Exactly. So we've journeyed from this scene of intense debate to a celebration of creation, a confrontation with judgment, and ultimately an affirmation of human choice. It's been quite a ride.
It has.
And I think what makes Surah An-Naba so compelling is how it speaks to both our hearts and our minds. It's got this incredible poetic beauty, but it also deals with some really profound philosophical and theological questions.
It makes you think.
It does. And I think it leaves us with a lot to ponder. What choices are we making in this life? How are we preparing for that final day of reckoning? And are we living in a way that will lead us to paradise or to hell? These are big questions, but I think Surah An-Naba provides us with some really valuable insights into how to answer them.
Food for thought.
It is. And on that note, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive for today, but I hope you'll join us again next time as we continue to explore the fascinating world of Islamic scripture.
Looking forward to it.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.